My name is Rodney Walters, and I am the forester for the town of Mountain Village. Today we're going to be taking a site walk to talk about the forests and also about a project that we're working on and different aspects involved with that. So trees can produce different risks. One of them is, trees can fall on the trail. They can present risks to trail users and road users, but also they represent risks in the form of fuels for wildfire. So this is a gamble oak tree, and I just really love oak trees, but they have this very distinctive deep-lobed oak leaf on them. And they're starting to change colors for the fall. And so it's just a little oak tree. They have acorns and they're a part of our environment out here. So my job as a community forester is to balance the risks posed by trees versus the benefits that they provide. So we want to maximize benefits and reduce risks. So wildfire has been suppressed in the forest for about the last 125 years. And as a result, the forests have become very overcrowded. And that overcrowding causes conditions where the trees are stressed. And they're stressed because they're competing for water and soil nutrients. One of the things that happens when trees become stressed is we have insect infestations. And so this tree right here is a classic example of spruce budworm damage. And spruce budworm is one of those insects that's causing the most damage and killing the most trees here in the town of Mountain Village. We are in our 8th year of a spruce budworm infestation. And what the spruce budworms do is they love the tender new growth that happens on the tips of the trees. And every spring they eat off all that new growth. And what you get is the tree becomes completely defoliated out on the ends with the new growth. And the only thing that's really left is this old growth, which isn't very efficient at producing food and nutrients for the trees. So we put these MCH packets out here to help protect the Douglas fir trees. If you see these out here, we ask that you just please leave them alone. So out here, part of our community scale shaded fuel break is that we are reducing the fuel loads in the forest at the top of the steep slope coming up from the Telluride Valley floor. If a forest fire were to come up this slope, it would be very, very high intensity. But if we can thin the trees and remove the standing dead and down fuels that exist at the top, we can reduce the intensity, slow the rate of the fire spread, and buy time for the residents and emergency services of the town. One of the things that we are doing with our community scale shaded fuel break project is that we are thinning out these damaged trees. We really are producing a reset that is needed for the forest to be able to recover. It seems like a lot of devastation when we're out there cutting down all these pine trees, but what it's going to do is it's going to bring it back to the aspen stage, that successional stage, and help the saplings to be able to be healthy as they grow and be resilient to insects and disease. So this is an Engelmann spruce tree. And you can tell it's an Engelmann spruce because it has this kind of orangey bark and these sort of like cornflake kind of flakes on the bark. The Engelmann spruce tree is probably our best species in terms that it is very disease and insect resistant, and it's very long-lived. Over time, these trees will survive and all the other species will kind of die out, and we'll get patches of old growth forests that are represented by this apex species. With the buildup of all these trees dying and falling down in the woods, the fuel load's just really intense. And our crews have been out here working in this, and this really creates very hazardous conditions. It's very treacherous to walk on, and it's even more treacherous if you're using a chainsaw. This is the kind of conditions these guys are dealing with out here every day as they do this project. So what we did is, because of the limited access out here, we helicoptered a lot of these logs and a lot of these fuels out of here. And then that gives us the space and the room to come back in afterward and build the burn piles and clean up the forest to a more desirable state. This pile right here is about 25%, maybe a third of the material that was flown out this year by the helicopter. It's really an enormous pile. I would say there are thousands of trees in this pile. And then we also had about half as much flown down to the valley floor, where Trout Unlimited was using it for their habitat restoration project. I am just so grateful to the community and the town council who has taken a proactive stance in supporting active forest management. Without your support, we wouldn't be able to do this valuable work, which is helping us to reduce wildfire risks, improve the health of the forest, and improve the recreational and aesthetic value of the site.